Hey, how we doing? It's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm just getting home. And it's fucking cold outside. So I think I'm getting cold, so got some Robitussin. So let's talk about Aquaman and drink Robitussin. Yeah, Aquaman 2. Aquaman in the I was gonna call it the Lost City of Gold, but no, that's the Alan Quartermain canon film. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Um, yeah, so this is the end of the DCEU, and it does not end with a bang. It goes out with a whimper. I really liked the first movie. It felt like James Wan was doing a kind of an 80s throwback fantasy adventure film. Fantastic colors, almost a Krull type vibe to it. I like the synth score. Costumes I thought were great. They made Black Manta look badass in that one. Um, and the tone that Momoa struck as Aquaman was much closer in tone to his portrayal in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's the thing about this character and the various incarnations that we've gotten, all from the same actor, is there's no tonal consistency based on who is directing the project. Because if you go from like him in the Justice League to him in the Snyder Cut, or him in in the first film to him in Peacemaker to this, there is very little through line in this. James Wan, I think, has proven himself time and again as a director on various types of budgets. You go from his Saw movies to something like *Malignant*. Even he's shown that he can make huge, epic scale movies and then smaller, more fun, interesting movies. But there is a clear through line. He does have a very unique style. And you can tell in the first one, the trench scenes where they're fighting those creatures, he comes alive in those scenes. And same thing in this one. A lot of the horror elements or the little in-jokes, you can tell that he put a lot more love and care into. One of my favorite things about this one, and I went with my buddy Brian and my buddy Jay tonight. Jay and Brian are brothers. And we went to the 4DX one. We went to the midnight screening. And that's the thing where it sprays water at you and you get poked in the back and moved all over the place. Regal, like, alcohol is super expensive, and our drinks are like fucking flying all over the place. So that was a little bit annoying. And then the dude who came with them, I think he fell asleep a couple times. So that was fun. But I was saying to them, because I lost my train of thought there for a minute. I was saying to them that when Black Manta, his crew, is wearing like their uniforms on like the Atlantean like retroformed submarines, they're just the spacesuits from Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires, which was a huge influence on Ridley Scott for Alien, and then even Prometheus, they're basically wearing a version of that suit as well. Things like that I thought were really neat. This movie is essentially The Rock's version of Journey to the Center of the Earth, mixed with Lord of the Rings, mixed with some Ghostbusters 2 in there because they need the baby. It's all over the place, and as epic as the story wants you to think it is, and the stakes and all that kind of stuff. Oh, you know what? It's also a lot of Black Panther. There's just straight up. I mean, at one point they even reference Loki and Asgard. I get just like they reference Superman in what was that movie? The Eternals. So Marvel and DC coming together in unity. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. The movie wants you to think that it's broad and important, and it has things to say about, its environmental message is about as superficial as an episode of Captain Planet. I kept waiting for like Al Gore to show up in this movie and tell Aquaman that it's a very inconvenient truth. But because the acting does not match the tone in which the story thinks it should be, everything is so superficial. Momoa is playing he's playing a cardboard cutout version of the character he played in the first one. While there is some nice interplay between him and Patrick Wilson, Patrick Wilson's fucking jacked in this movie. There's some nice interplay between them. There's just a lot of mugging at the camera, and like you're doing Jim from The Office face a bunch of times, so it undercuts any message it tries to have. I also like Amber Heard's in this movie a lot, and I know they were like, oh, they cut down her part, and I was like, no, they didn't. She's in like almost this entire movie. Also, justice for Amber Heard too. I watched that documentary, and I've also heard a lot of shit for about Johnny Depp, and I think they're both super toxic people, and I think that I think she kind of got fucked over a little bit too in some of this stuff in the public perception of her. Plus, I've fucked a lot of crazy in my life, and crazy chicks fuck better. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize. Well, I guess I just did apologize. It's like the Trump thing, never surrender, but then he's selling T-shirts of himself when he surrendered. I don't know, man. She's in this movie a bunch, and Dolph Lundgren's back in the movie as well. And every time his armor is seen like out in broad daylight, it looks like somebody like cosplaying as Dolph Lundgren as Amber Heard's dad in Aquaman. I don't even remember his character's name. King Beardo. John Rhys Davies is the voice of like the crustacean man king, and Jay was like, oh yeah, he was in the first one. I don't remember that, and I actually liked the first one. The synth score is back in certain places, used not as well. There's a lot of scenes of this that remind me a lot of the Star Wars prequels. There's like a undersea pirate den of like Max Rebo's band is there almost. And there's even like a fish king guy who's sort of like Jabba the Hutt, and he's got like shark guards and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this could be kind of cool. But then they kind of already did this last year or this year. I don't remember when shit comes out anymore. In Quantumania, there's just a lot of this shit is just all blending together for me. And then you have like, again, the Asian dude from Ant-Man who's also in that Right Off the Boat show or whatever. They just have like a lot of close-ups of him just saying inconceivable or interesting, and it's like that's kind of his whole part. It's like everybody in this movie is just there for trailer lines, or like there's a lot of tell not show kind of stuff in it. Heavy on exposition to get us from point A to point B without really much motivation other than the script says it has to happen so that the movie can happen. Nicole Kidman's face looks weird at times. I don't know. This movie could have been a lot worse, considering that Warner Brothers very much wants to kill the entire Zack Snyder DCEU and just be done with it. This movie could have been much, much worse. Like I was supposed to go see an exhibitor screening of this a couple weeks ago, and I opted not to because there's just so much shit going on at work. And I was like, I'll watch it with my friends. But everybody who came out of the exhibitor screening was like, dude, that may have been the worst movie I've ever seen. So I went into this like, oh no, plus, they're burying it. Like there was no like premiere, and I haven't seen a ton of press on it. It was fine for what it was. Major step down from the first one. It repeats a lot of the same stuff. Orm feels like a completely different character. It doesn't look like anybody was really enjoying themselves being there. And then for it to end with the idea of the Black Panther idea of, well, Wakanda is going to now open up its gates and show people that it exists. Atlantis is going to do this. And they act like people don't know that Atlantis exists. But in the beginning of the movie, there's like a action scene where Aquaman is fighting like guys who like are like stealing a boat, like a big like cargo thing, but it really turns out that it's just Aquaman playing with toys, talking to his son. So there's an Aquaman toy, so the world knows that the Justice League exists, that there's a fish man, but like why would they be weirded out by Atlantis existing when we clearly live in a world where Steppenwolf attacked the Earth, Superman exists, Wonder Woman exists. People know these worlds exist, and then it ends with him going to the United Nations to tell people, to wrap up the thing, which was taken from an episode of Justice League Unlimited where Aquaman goes to the United Nations. But then our last image of this DCEU is a poorly composited green screen background of Bro Sidon basically Ric Flairing it up, where he's like, "I'm Aquaman, woo!" and he throws the mic down. And I was like, okay, so that's your "I am Iron Man" moment. How sad. Which just makes me want to go watch Rebel Moon even more. I liked his performance in Snyder's Justice League because there is a guy who just like he's used to being a loner. He has this connection to the land. He knows his connection to the sea. Oh, Willem Dafoe's not in this movie. He got off screen to death. So they just talk about like, oh, I wish Volko was here. And it's like, no, he was trying to he killed Aunt May over in that Spider-Man movie. He couldn't be here. I'm wondering what they cut out of this movie because apparently Affleck shot a scene and Michael Keaton shot a scene. A lot of these movies since they decided to go in the different direction have just all felt retrofitted together. There's times when the hair doesn't quite match up from scene to scene. There's some poorly edited fight scenes too where I'm not really sure where people are in reference to one another. The geometry is weird, and it seems like you can tell where the reshoots were in this. You have some neat ideas in it of Black Manta wanting to get revenge, getting possessed by the green trident, basically, and you have the main bad guy who's like sort of like the Witch King, but his head looks like a corncob head. And everyone in his kingdom was turned into like zombie people, which could be really neat. And the look of it was kind of cool. You could tell it was done by a horror director. So it's up to Aquaman to spring his brother out of the desert jail that they put him in, where they ride on those things that Obi-Wan rode on in the third prequel movie, basically. I don't know. I'm glad it's not as bad as people said it was. It's just kind of lame and sad that this is the end. Hello, Elvira. It's just kind of lame and sad that this is the end of that whole thing. The costumes look cheap. I don't know. And then there's a lot of like weird needle drops. Like I guess not as weird as the first one had like Toto's Africa done by Pitbull. This one is like Born to Be Wild a lot, and there's a lot of like cock rock like 60s motorcycle songs in this one. It's strange. But yeah, this is the end of the DCEU. This is the end of Momoa as Aquaman. I feel like the studio, honestly, just watching this, you could tell that the studio sabotaged this one to get to the James Gunn reboot. And if Momoa is going to play Lobo or whatever, that's fine. But he did not seem invested in this in any way, shape, or form. He just seemed disinterested in all of it. Zero chemistry with Amber Heard in this one. There is a scene though where she was in the bed where she's like being like repaired. It's like the BAFTA tank almost. All right, bye. In Star Wars, and somebody in the back of the theater went, "She's gonna poop in that bed," and that was pretty funny. There was also a little kid in the theater for a midnight screening, little kid who just kept laughing at everything, and I was like, that motherfucker's having a good time. So good for him. I didn't pay for the ticket or the drinks or the popcorn, so I can't really bitch and complain too much. Thank you, Brian and Jason, for asking me to come to the movies with them, because I didn't get this at my theater. I'm running the Narberth over Christmas, and we only have 2 screens, and we play more to little kid movies and family movies. Wonka's doing really well. So we went over to Regal to see this one, and the last time we all went together to see one of those 4DX movies, it was Love and Thunder, which was one of the worst experiences at a movie theater I've ever had. So thankfully this was a little bit better. And I'm like excited, seeing the Ghostbusters new trailer and the Dune trailer on the big screen. Pretty cool. The Fall Guy coming out with Ryan Gosling based on the TV show could be really interesting. So, it is what it is. they didn't go as deep into the mythos of Aquaman as I thought they were going to. Tupou's in it, and they mentioned that he's good at playing instruments. He was in the first one as well, playing the drums, but he's in the background. They gave Aquaman a big seahorse to ride. He references that he talks to fish, and to the most people, they think he's a joke. But then that doesn't make any sense if people don't know Aquaman exists in Atlanta. The lost city of Atlanta. Remember that episode of Futurama where the Coca-Cola bottling factory turned everyone into sea people? Just doesn't make sense that like they know Aquaman exists and that he's a joke, but they're going to be all freaked out if Atlantis exists. Like, where do they think he comes from? You know, he was just a regular guy who was bitten by a radioactive flounder and got fish powers. I don't know. I got nothing, man. I thought he would at least lose a hand saving the baby, and that he would get a hook at the end, but they didn't do that. That's it, man. That's the end of the DCEU. Everybody who hated Man of Steel and hated Batman vs. Superman wanted things more akin to Marvel, and what they got was Wonder Woman 84 and Aquaman 2, and yeah, are you happy? Are you proud of yourself for what you've done here? I don't know. Blue Beetle was fine, but obviously it didn't do very well. And we're going in a different direction. We're getting a new, I thought that there were elements of Black Adam. I forgot Black Adam even happened. I was like, oh yeah, Henry Cavill came back as Superman. We got excited, and then they went, nope, there's a new Superman. And then you're that movie. They're like, oh, and then James Gunn comes out and he's like, oh, I hate cameo porn. Yet, Mr. Terrific, Authority, Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, like they're all gonna be in this new Superman movie, and I'm like, well, what the fuck do you call that, man? I don't know anymore. Thank you, Robitussin. And I am going to go and get comfortable and go to bed. And let's see if anybody goes to see this thing. And, if you saw it, let me know what you thought of it. I'm going to go check out Iron Claw tomorrow with Metz, because Metz is super into wrestling. And I want to see Poor Things as well. But I'm working. That's why we went to such a late show tonight, because I've been working 8 a.m. to like 10, 11, 12 at night, depending on what's going on, because we have all these school groups and special groups that come in for the holidays, and then my entire staff has requested off all the holidays. So I had to call my mom and my grandmom today and tell them, hey, I won't be around for Christmas this year, which is no different than usual. Except for the year I worked at Screenwave, I wanted to go see family on Christmas, but I was stuck working. Oh, yeah, so I worked on that Christmas too, yeah. Because then I went home, and because of the cold, the power was out. So I went back to the office at Screenwave and just did more work there until Pico, who's our local power provider. Man, I never get a fucking break. I was just thinking about it. I was like, what year are we in? Because it's going to be 2024, but because 2020 essentially has been like 3 long years, and 2021 was essentially the worst fucking year of my entire life. So I don't even know anymore. I don't know. Aquaman and the Journey to the Center of the Rings. Ghostbusters 2 Wakanda. James Wan, go do original shit again. Bring creepy dolls into stuff and just stay away from the studio's big IP nonsense machine and do your own thing and make fun horror movies, and I'll go see them, and hopefully Warner Brothers decides at some point to knock it the fuck off and stop listening to the crybabies online and honor the 80-plus year legacy of DC Comics and their deep bullpen of characters. And because I'm a DC person. I grew up a DC Comics fan, and I've talked many, many times about my love for Man of Steel and Snyder's Justice League and the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman. Why those versions of those characters that he put on screen mean something to me. is my own thing, and you could tell me I'm wrong and that they're garbage and all that kind of stuff, but that means something to me. I like that DC characters are gods and titans, and while they can be funny characters, there's not a need every 2 minutes to make puns and completely remove any tension or stakes from a situation by undercutting it. And that's what they did in this movie a lot too. Is they keep raising the stakes, the environmental levels, and all that kind of stuff, but then it's always just completely undercut by some lame joke, and that's not it's not how you build characters, not how you build drama. And I only know this because I'm an award-winning screenwriter. I was just 1 year early, man. ChatGPT is so popular now amongst YouTubers with writing. I was just ahead of my time. Could have saved myself. Then again, I shouldn't be doing somebody else's job who gets paid for it and credited, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm pretty sure I'll never be offered to write a superhero movie. But, whatever. It is what it is. Aquaman 2, Electric Boogaloo, The Search for Curly's Gold, Red, White, and Blonde. What are some other twos? Goodbye.